Well, this isn't the video I plan on making this week, but my vehicles have left me no choice. As most of you that watch the channel know, we have the Rubicon 392 and the Bronco Raptor, and let's not forget about the lifted Camaro. Now, with having these specialty vehicles or just having multiple vehicles in general, there are maintenance items that inevitably stack up, especially whenever you don't drive the vehicles very often. Now, for me personally, I drive the Camaro just about every day. We use the Bronco Raptor as the baby hauler, so it does get driven a fair amount. But the Rubicon 392 sits for weeks and weeks at a time, and that just creates a whole host of problems. Now, between the Bronco Raptor and the Rubicon 392, I've got about 20 items on a list that I need to knock out. I've been putting them off, and I just don't have any more time. So in today's video, we're going to be addressing some of the problems that are causing the Bronco Raptor and Rubicon 392 to literally fall apart. Now, to get the biggest elephant out of the room to start, the lifted Camaro is not dialed in. Don't get me wrong, it's nowhere close to being finished. But you guys really didn't watch the videos, so I kind of just started driving it, and I've just been driving it the way that it is. There's plenty of cosmetic stuff. There's some welding that needs to be done. There's some framework that needs to be done. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to get it where I want it, but it is more than drivable at this point, so I've just been driving it. If you guys have any more interest in it, I'll start messing with it some more. But the Bronco Raptor has some pretty big issues that I need to get addressed. Now, as you guys know, we transferred the 38 1550s that were on the Rubicon 392 onto the Bronco Raptor, and these Mickey Thompson Baja Boss MTs had some pretty good tread left, as you can see. But since we've done the RPG lift collars and RPG tie rods, after I did the lift collars, I went and got a proper alignment at work, and then I put on the RPG tie rods, and I think that's causing the tires to wear prematurely in the front. But I'm not exactly sure. The alignment feels like it's on, but as you can tell, the tread in the front is just getting eaten away. Now, I am still going to put these on the back for a little while and try to extend some of that life that we have left, because the measurement for the rear is 14 30-seconds and the front is like 9 or 8 30-seconds. So it's getting close to where they absolutely have to be replaced. But something super annoying, RPG also sent out their updated tie rods for the Bronco Raptor, so I need to get those installed. You guys will remember we did the downpipes on the Bronco Raptor. Those actually sound really good, but I am getting a little bit of an exhaust leak from one side, and I need to get that fixed. Now, whenever I did install the downpipes, I actually broke off one of the turbo studs and had to put a new stud on it, completely pull the turbo off and everything. You guys didn't see that in the video. Maybe that's caused some of the exhaust leak issues. So I've got to get that fixed. Other than that, right now on the Bronco Raptor, I think it's okay. But before we dive too deep into today's video, I've got to show you an awesome product from today's video sponsor, Pelsee. Now, you guys have seen us showcase some of the Pelsee products here on the channel, but today we've got the S12 Pro. It's a 4K Wi-Fi mirror dash cam. Now, I've really become fond of the rear view mirror style dash cams just because of how useful they actually are. They don't take up really any extra space, and they're relatively easy to install. The main thing we have here is our rear view mirror with the dash cam on the other side right here. So this is really easy to install on just about any rear view mirror. And then aside from that, we've got our power wire, we've got our rear camera, we've got our GPS, and we've got some of our extra hardware to mount. And aside from that, they also give us a 64 gigabyte SD card. But now that we've got it out of the box, all we need to do is install it. Now, like I said, the install process is a breeze. I've got it installed in the Camaro right now, and you can see I've got my GPS right there, and I've actually got my power cord plugged into my cigarette outlet right here. And now we've got our dash cam already on and working just like that. Now, something that's a little bit different that I do with mine is I actually just turn it off and use it as a traditional rear view mirror. Now, you can't do that with all of these, but as you can tell with this one, it is no problem at all. It's super clear and you can get it at the right angle. But anytime I want to, I can click this button, and that's going to show me my different cameras. Now, what you're going to notice is I have something set up a little bit different. I actually put my extra camera in the front on the Camaro because in the lifted Camaro, there's just no visibility in this thing. So having a front camera is super crucial. Now, in low light settings, it can even record things we can't see right now. All you can see right now is that house off in the distance. You literally can't see anything in front of you, but this camera is still going to pick it up. Something else that's really important to note is just having that speed right there is super helpful for me because my speedometer is way off. There's no way for me to calibrate the speedometer with how big of a tire we have on the Camaro here. So it's nice to have an accurate speedometer in this thing. Now, some of the main features on this are going to include the STARVIS IMX 675 sensor. which enhances clarity and detail, especially in low light and night vision recording. We also have safe reversing aid, an ADAS and BSD. The full color night vision is something that always blows me away. It's crazy how much it can capture, but it also has voice control and a Please Cam app. So you have all kinds of functionality, features, and settings in there that you don't have on the actual display itself. If you are interested in getting one of these for yourself, check them out in the link in the description below. A huge thank you to Pelsee for sponsoring today's video, but for now, let's get back to it. For the Rubicon 392, just from sitting, there are a few things that have gone wrong. Now, these metal cloak fender flares have the LED turn signals and daytime running lights right here. And some of these bulbs are actually going out, which is pretty annoying. I've got replacements for them. I just need to get it installed. One day, whenever I was messing with tools in the back, I must have turned on the winch remote somehow. And I usually keep my winch tied up right here. And it literally pulled the winch cable all the way in and snapped it, bent my bracket and everything. I've been waiting for some new bumpers to come in to actually mess with replacing it, but it doesn't look like they're gonna come in time to really wait. So we have some off-road videos planned here soon, and that winch is gonna have to be fully functional. I've got two new different winch cables that we can throw on it. I just didn't feel like taking off the bumper and stuff if I was gonna be replacing the bumper immediately anyway. So I need to get that addressed. The tires on the Rubicon 392, I never got balance. They actually rode really good with no wheel weights on it whenever they were brand new, but whenever they sit right now and get flat spots in them from sitting for weeks at a time, especially where it's so cold right now, I mean, it does not drive great. So I've got to get that fixed and just get these balanced. Aside from that, I have tried to put on different steering kits on the Rubicon 392, and none of them have quite worked with the geometry. With that being said, the tie rod that attaches to the pitman arm there, you can tell where I've taken it on and off a couple times. I've broken the seal right there and the grease just comes out of it. I've got a couple extra of those. I need to get that replaced soon. This thing's also due for an oil change right now, so I need to get some oil. I need to get a filter, go ahead and change that. It's not up for mileage, it's just up for the time frame. It's been right at a year, actually a little bit over a year. I do have bumpers front and rear coming for it, but they're really nice bumpers. I just don't know when they're gonna be in. The exhaust on the Rubicon 392 is okay for now. I've got it coming back here and dumping right before the axle. It does leak just a little bit right where the mid pipe would go. That's kind of annoying. I need to go through, retighten it. I've got some issues with brakes. I need to re-bleed them. I put the Rough Country brake kit on here and used it for a while, then took it back off. I actually just didn't like the sound of the performance brakes. They squeak quite a bit more. I don't really drive this thing on the road too much. If it is on the road, it's usually just to drive around for a little bit or to drive off-road. So I didn't really need the bigger difference in performance brakes, especially not for the sound. But put the factory brakes back on, and whenever I did, maybe I just didn't bleed them properly. It feels like there's a little bit of space in the pedal, so I've got to get that fixed. I forgot about the interior on the Rubicon 392 as well. Whenever I replaced this steering wheel, I actually over-tightened these. You can see this button's kind of loose. It doesn't really bother me much, but I need to get that replaced too. And then I do have another new steering wheel that we're going to be putting in here soon. But hopefully this week will give me a chance to get ahead on some of the stuff that we got to get done. Because whenever the snow hits, we're going to be taking all three of these cars out to test them out in the snow. Well, after just a little bit of time, we got the new RPG tie rod in on. And let me tell you, this billet aluminum upgrade is a really good idea for the Bronco Raptors or Raptors in general, just because this is the main failure point whenever we're off-road with the Raptors in general, especially with bigger tires like we have. But anyway, it's super important to get a proper alignment done, so I'll probably take this to work tomorrow and get the alignment done on it. But for now, I'll eyeball it, maybe put some 2x4s on the edge of the wheels like I've showed you guys before, and measure it. But I'm just like 20 miles from work, so I'm not too awful worried about it. But regardless, it feels good to get that done. And just like that, we've got the tires rotated to the front. We've got the new RPG tie rod ends on, and we've got it eyeball aligned. And it's actually driving pretty good. Steering wheel is off a little bit, but should be a simple fix tomorrow as long as we have the time. And while I was under there, I ended up just tightening up the nuts that are on the studs for the turbos, for the down pops. That seems to have helped quite a bit. So I think we're good. I just need to retorque them. Now, for the Rubicon 392, I'm going to go ahead and pull the drain plug, go ahead and get started on the oil change. And while that's draining, I'm going to rip the front bumper off and get that new winch line on there. Well, it is safe to say that I got a little carried away. It's already 1 o'clock now, so I'm trying to wrap it up for the night. I got the new winch cable installed. This is a much bigger cable. This is a 1/2 inch diameter. It is a lot of cord here, and it is filled up to the brim, so the replacement for that worked really well. I got the oil changed, got oil everywhere, of course, but we got 7 quarts in this thing, so it is good for the next year. I really only changed the oil in it once a year. I only got, I think, 2,000 miles all of last year. And then on this one, like I already told you guys, we got it set up. Gonna take it in for an alignment tomorrow, and we'll pick it up from there. And while we're getting everything dialed in, as you guys have probably seen, the tint here is just matching the rear from the factory. It's not dark at all. Kind of gives you that fishbowl look. You can see in here and see the roll bars. You can even see through the back, see the cage and stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and get that fixed. We had a crazy storm while I was at work, so I found this tree in the middle of the road. I'm gonna pull it out of the way on the way home. I swear, around here you can't be fast enough for this kind of stuff. Absolutely insane. As soon as I get out ready to rock and roll, this guy comes up with a full-fledged tractor. How crazy. Looks like everything got wrecked through here. And that's why the power's out right there. I guess that's where it went down. Tree probably came right across it. Well, we do have another one down here. I don't know if I can winch to that or not, but we will see. Well, we got it strapped up right here. We'll just winch it off to the side and we should be good. Well, we got that mostly cleared out and got this out of the way. Now let's get back out of here. Well, I took the Bronco Raptor to 3 shops, including my own, and it's just too big to actually get any readings on the rack. So you can pull it onto the racks, don't get me wrong, but whenever you have to turn to calibrate where dead center is, it just can't do that. It's too wide of a setup for the sensors to be able to read, because whenever you turn all the way, it loses connection and it cannot read it. So running into that issue. Now, before I left work, I ended up getting it as close as I could, just eyeballing it. But even with just getting it dialed in that much, it is driving so much better, even better than it was previously. Essentially, I'm just walking that jam nut up as far as possible that way towards the inner tie rod. And then I'm leaving absolutely no space between the heim joint and the tie rod itself. So I already tightened down the passenger side as much as possible. My steering wheel is still cranked just a hair towards the driver's side. So I need to tighten this side a little bit more. And if I do tighten it a little bit more, if I get a little bit more travel out of it, I should have it dialed in. Well, after spending way longer than I wish I had to, I finally have the alignment fully dialed in. Took a long time of just driving. I mean, I'm doing this all off of eyeball and feel. I got the steering wheel dead centered. It is feeling really good. So I'm super happy to finally have that dialed in. It's actually been messed up for a while. So to have it completely dialed in for really the first time since our big jump with, I mean, a couple thousand miles on it, it's a really good feeling. And then aside from all that, we also got the tint done. And I've got to say, this tint looks really good. I asked her to do 15 and 35%. It's a lady I use from work. And as you can tell, it looks pretty dark. I mean, you can still see into the seats, and with so much light in here, whenever you look through this way, you can still see through the windshield perfectly fine, because I did not get the full windshield done. You can see right here, I've got the tint strip across, whereas on the 392, we've got 15 all the way around and then a 30% full windshield. So you really can't see in that very easily at all. But, I mean, this looks really good. I wanted to have a little bit more visibility since I'm not the one that drives this one all the time. And there's a lot of back roads, pretty much all back roads to get back where we live. So if you're just driving in the city, you can have it as dark as you want. It doesn't really matter with all the street lights and stuff. But out on back roads or just off-road at night, it's really good to have a little bit of extra visibility, especially with something, you know, this wide. But now I've got to make a decision. Since we left these tires up front with the bad alignment for so long, you can tell these are worn down bad. So these tires here are all the way down to right at 9/30 seconds. These were in the front. And then if we go to these that we just put to the front, they're right at about 13/30 seconds. So putting these in the front is gonna wear them a little bit faster, but I'll show you the one that's the worst. Still right at 13, maybe 14/30 seconds. But this is the bad one here. And we're right at, 7/30 seconds on that. Let's see this right here. Well, right at 8/30 seconds. Okay, so 8/30 seconds versus almost 14/30 seconds. I'm probably just gonna buy a new set of tires. I might try to run these a little bit longer, get a little bit more use out of them. Best case scenario would be running this set of tires through the winter. I think that would be my best opportunity. I typically just don't run mud tires once they get down below half tread. Not only do they not look good, they start riding bad. You lose a lot of your performance off-road. These still have tread, don't get me wrong, just not much, especially for what we do. So whenever I get a new set, I'm thinking about getting the Yokohama Geolander XMTs in the exact same size that we have on the Rubicon 392. These 40 by 1550s, the Yokohama Geolanders, have been a really impressive tire so far. I like the way they look, although they seem a little bit narrower. It could just be because it's taller and that tire gets stretched a little bit more where it's a shorter tire, but these 40s do look a little bit narrower than the 38 1550s. But these are 40 by 1550s. Regardless, I love the tread pattern. I like the sopping, the way that it's designed. It really clears itself out pretty well, and they're quiet. It's a really good compound. So I think this would be a really good choice for this, and I think it would look good on it as well. I really like that tread pattern on here. It just looks amazing, even compared to the Baja Boss MTs, which you guys know I like pretty well. So let me know what you guys think. What other tire options should I consider? These are a reasonable price too. The Geolander XMTs, they're not bad. And obviously at this point, I know they perform well. I just don't know if it'd be too much to have the same wheels and the same tires. But regardless of all that, it has been nice to dedicate some time. This is actually the 4th day now that I've been able to dedicate time to fixing this. But in the process of that, I've realized how boring it must be for you guys to watch me do these really small, minuscule things. So I'm probably not even gonna throw that much in the video. We've got a lot accomplished this week, and I'm glad I took the time to finally get some of this stuff done. Because whenever my lifted Camaro is the most roadworthy vehicle in the fleet, that's dangerous. But now these two are dialed in and they are ready for their next adventure. There are going to be some awesome upgrades coming very soon to both of these vehicles, so be sure to stay tuned for that. If you guys want, maybe one day we'll finish the Camaro and make it look a little bit better. It's actually performing pretty darn good right now, but there are a lot of things left to be desired in terms of the looks. Regardless, I appreciate all you guys for watching this. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see next, but until then, Godspeed.